Hey everybody, welcome to the Chair Company Files. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Mike, and we've watched it. It dropped. The episode is called Life Goes By Too Fucking Fast. It really does. This is going to be...
Can we say that?
Well, I mean, I think we're not for kids. The show's not for kids. The podcast isn't for kids.
Right.
So we could say. But that's really what the title of it is. It's episode 1, and wow. That's all I got to say. Wow.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it together. We wanted to wait for the podcast, and that's happening right now. And I wanted to start, first off, I saw the schedule, so I just thought I'd give that to our listeners as well as just for us to know how long we're going to be enjoying this show. Enjoying, in quotes. It runs from October 12th, which just happened last night at the time of this recording, to November 30th, and it's 8 episodes. So not a ton.
What are we, TV Guide? That was all available like on Wikipedia and stuff. Like,
well, I'm just like,
Audio TV Guide is what we are.
That's what we are. And I'm excited, and it's dark and funny and weird, and we're here to talk about it today. But also, before we get started, I also want to mention the cast, because now we get to see some of these people who are in it. Does anybody stand out to you?
I mean, Lou Diamond Phillips was interesting. First of all, he looks great. And we'll talk about like his scene where he's the CEO of the company that Ron works for, which is like a real estate development company. Yeah, the name of the company
make places.
Fisher Robe. His name is Jeff Lebjman, I think the name of the character is. And he had a pretty small part in this first episode where he introduces Ron at the project introduction meeting. Ron's big day, because it was his essentially introduction as kind of the project manager.
Yep, lead project manager, I believe.
Lead project manager.
And as Lou Diamond Phillips says, he's badass.com, which is one of the favorite lines.
And then there's a couple others. His wife, who
the actress name is Lake Bell, and I've never seen her in anything before. Have you?
Barb Trosper.
Yeah,
I think she has a pretty strong following. She was in Boston Legal.
Oh, okay.
So she's super familiar. Like, you've seen her around, but unless you watch that show, she's been in a number of other things. The younger actors I don't recognize. Maybe because I'm an old person, but I am. And then we had Jim Downey, who's
Jim
an iconic
from SNL. Yeah,
SNL iconic guy. So
also, by the way, Jim Downey was just in One Battle After Another. And I thought that was really interesting because in that movie, is serious, like just a straight up serious actor. Doesn't do any comedy. And in this one, he's kind of like dark comedy, right? So it's not like full on funny at all. It's actually kind of, as we'll talk about in the show, uncomfortable. Like he's in an uncomfortable scene. And then also I want to mention Sophia Lillis. She plays Natalie, the daughter. She's so good in I Am Not Okay With This. And if anybody, our listeners, likes weird comedy and like sci-fi, it's a very good series. So go check that out.
I feel like if you watch Tim Robinson, if you like I Think You Should Leave, you're probably into weird comedy. I feel like
weird comedy. Yeah.
So let's get into the episode and talk about it. I thought the opening scene was great. Like, it goes right into it. It has the title card or the name of the show, and then it just closes in on the family having a celebratory dinner.
Yeah, I think I texted you that. My favorite part of the whole show is the beginning. And I don't know if that's like foreshadowing. And I did like it, and we'll talk about that. But it was just a good like microcosm of like what the show could be, which is kind of heartwarming at times because they were like trying to be like, hey, this is his big day. And then also awkward, and then also really awkward, which is Tim's MO, right?
It's his formula, right? It is like every great I Think You Should Leave script or skit that you've seen. It starts with like, hey, this is like a great heartwarming kind of thing. They're celebrating. And then I think it was during the selfie or the toast. I think they were the wife was toasting him and Ron is just enjoying it. But then the waitress kind of comes into the back view behind and he just can't ignore her. And then when she recognizes this, the waitress recognizes the son, it just kind of ruins the moment for Ron.
Yeah. By the way, also rude, I think, right?
Yeah, but the thing is he overreacts, just extremely overreacts. which I thought was funny. And then the son tries to save it by saying, "Do you remember this? Or have you heard of like? Are you a fan of malls?"
Yeah, malls. But he doesn't save it. He actually makes it go terribly bad.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think, and that's the thing about the show. Like, I think what I think you should leave was a meme factory, and I think this is going to be another meme factory. And like one of the memes you can already see is like, he basically says, "We're in a mall right now." How about the
Yeah.
restaurant?
Is the restaurant in a mall? I like how his son was like, Dad, are we really in a mall? Like he didn't
Kind
know
of.
it was at it.
No, not
Yeah.
really, but kind
Not
of.
really, but you know. And then
No.
the egg thing is so good. The egg, he wants the egg. And he's like, why does everybody keep trying to take the egg? Total Tim Robinson. So I think that whole thing was a microcosm of like his stuff right there.
And it made me wonder: is this the heir apparent or influenced by Curb Your Enthusiasm? Like, like I'm sure that a lot of people will watch a show or like us watch Curb, and Larry would take everything to the like turn it up to 11 with uncomfortableness, and that's what Tim does, but in a different way. And like I feel like both Tim and Larry David would have reacted the same way around them trying to take the egg, like the last piece of food on the table. Someone tries to take it. We've all gotten annoyed by that. We still want to eat it, and then they come and pick it up, but we don't overreact like those guys do.
Well, what's great and weird and different about this show and Tim is that scene is like followed up with he's sleeping and he can't get to sleep because he's like the pillow is the worst pillow in the world or in the whole city or something. He's like, it's like metal, which is it's amazing.
What did that even mean? Like, first of all,
I get it though. It's his frustration. It's just all bundled up into like, it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah. And he's trying to get to sleep before the big night. And we all have those big days. Like we have the big meetings, we can't sleep and we're getting frustrated and he's there. And this was after the restaurant scene went wrong for him.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like a continuation of it. So I think,
they flash to him then walking into his office, just kind of like walking through, and like it's a great introduction to like this kind of typical corporate office. He's the middle manager walking in, and then he gets behind Doris, the coworker who's just walking too slow.
He's so mad about it. He's so mad
with this little microaggressions.
Well, I think that whole sequence, real quick, is like the entering into the to the building, and what makes this different. What I was going to say than like Curb is that. It definitely feels like Severance to me. Like they're doing a lot with music and cinematography as well, but also like the score. And I think that's the differentiation here is like, as soon as he comes into that office, it's not just like, and I think you should leave sketch, right? It's not even like a Detroiters thing, which I'm wearing the shirt. It's, if you're watching on visual, it's like this idea of atmosphere, and it's immediately going to be like, oh, what's going on here? This is an odd moment.
Yeah, I mean, Severance felt heavier and darker. At least that's what I'm thinking at the beginning of this first half of the show, the first half of this episode. But then as things kind of got a little bit darker towards the end, I thought, okay, maybe it's a little bit more Severance. I feel like, I know this is kind of a tired analogy, but maybe if Severance and Curb had a baby, it would be the show.
And fortunately or unfortunately, a little sprinkle of friendship, because I'm smelling that movie a little bit in this show. That's my only hesitation. I got to put that out there in the beginning.
But is a thing that, and I start to wonder as I'm watching this, is stretching Tim's I Think You Should Leave formula to a half an hour episode or to like a full length movie, because he has the great conceits for like all these skits, but is it stretching them to the full length to a longer show over of kind of 8 episodes or a movie? Is that where you're smelling it? It just kind of strains a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I think when also it's the subject matter, because later on, I don't know if you want to go through scene by scene, but at some point there is that thing I alluded to with Jim Downey, his character, I forgot his name, the Bubbles guy. And it's pretty uncomfortable. And it's one of those things where like he's, Ron's character, Ron, is being like mean because of all his frustrations. And I think that's really, to get in the weeds for a minute, I think that's the differentiation, to reuse that word again, of like, you can be wacky and dark comedy, but if you get mean, it's weird. It gets like a little weird. And I think in Friendship, he got mean, and I did not like that, right? And so when he was mean to Jim Downey, I got upset. Like he was like, he pulled the bubbles off of him.
I agree. I mean, he is over the top and mean in corporate environments in I Think You Should Leave, like the no pee stain pants. Like he's the over the top weird guy.
He is
a little bit
yeah,
angry.
Yeah.
But just kind of going back to the sequence, right? So we're in that, it's the pivotal setup scene for the entire show where he basically goes from, going into Brenda's office and taking a shot, seeing the model of the office of the big development, which by the way, is like the best mall development name ever. It's Canton Marketplace at Bear Run. That's the name of the mall. If you look at the small print, and then he goes into the meeting or the conference or whatever, where his boss, Lou Diamond Phillips, is introducing him. He introduces him as badass.com. He comes up to speak, gives kind of a nice inspirational speech. Everyone gives him a pitter patter, a clap. This is like the pinnacle of probably his entire career. And then he walks over, sits down in the chair, and maybe within like 5 seconds, it collapses.
Yeah.
And then, but this is another thing we have to talk this through because it's so pivotal. He then is just laying on his back, kind of shocked, and then he glances up. I forget her name, but the lady's skirt, which I think is going to kind of circle back on him because she does talk about it later in the episode.
Yeah,
how she's going to bring it up to HR.
That whole scene reminded me of the scene in I Think You Should Leave, where he's up trying to I think talk to Herbie Hancock, was it? And he's trying to defend himself that the dog didn't hump his head. And that's a whole other sketch. But the idea is it's kind of like this one thing that happened and everyone has to focus on it, Now in that sketch, they're just going to drill down on that awkward moment for the whole sketch. But in this, it's it's got one of those little moments that feels similar, hey, everybody's looking at him, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, everything is really sailing. He's an ascendant middle manager. He's the project manager for this thing. And then everything it feels like is now kind of going downhill because he fell down. He's embarrassed. He accidentally glances up the skirt of this lady, which she's going to end up talking to HR about this. Mm-hmm. And then he's so embarrassed and angry that he starts reacting in a bad way. I think the guy's name is Douglas, the Jim Downey character, where he has this weird bubble necklace. Just because and by the way, Douglas, the Jim Downey character, got passed over for this project,
right?
For Ron. So I think that the Jim Downey character has a little bit of a vendetta.
Well, before we even leave that one scene with the chair, because the chair is a pivotal scene, right? That starts this whole thing. I'll say two things. One, it is almost like a metaphor for what you do with life. What do you want to do with the things that happen to you? Could he just have been whatever? He did make a joke though.
He tried the next morning. He tried.
And he tried to make a joke the next day. Yeah.
He couldn't quite bottle it up.
He couldn't. If he did, this whole show doesn't happen, right? That's just again, it's a metaphor of what you do with life that comes at you. But I want to drill down real quick a conspiracy. I think Lou Diamond Phillips, what's his name again?
It's the character's name is Jim Levgman. He's the CEO of Fisher Robe, which is the company that they work for. I
think if this whole show's about conspiracy, I think Jim's in on it. I rewatched this second half of it, or the first half, I watched it twice, and on the second viewing, he gave him some looks. He gave Ron some looks, before that chair happened. He gave him a look that felt like maybe he's going to mess with him. I think he's in on it. Just so you heard it here first.
Okay. So you think your theory is that the CEO of the development company Ron works for, Ron Trosper, is somehow sabotaging Ron, and so he may be in on the whole chair thing. Ron thinks that Tim thinks that there's some weird cover up maybe with the chair company, which I think is, what's the name of the chair company again?
Tekka. It's Tekka Chairs, which I looked up, by the way, online. And in our world, there's a Tekka Wheelchairs company, but there's no Tekka Chairs company.
Yeah. And so Ron is doing some internet research. He's Googling the name of the company and he's having trouble actually getting anyone. And then he finds a support email. He emails it, support at whatever the name of the company is, Tekka, and it bounces back. And he just, of course, thinks, what is going on? We've all had this happen with it. We've all had the email that doesn't work. But if you're Ron Trosper, Tim Robinson, this is a big deal. It's a very big deal to him.
It's a big deal, but at the same time, in his defense, which we'll get to really soon when we talk about it in a second, the people on the phone were bad. They were, avoiding him, and they were avoiding questions, and they wouldn't give him answers. So you could make this whole show to really quickly, like globally look at the show. You could make the show about where it's all in his head, right? And it's like his sketches and stuff. But they push back and they go, no, those customer support people were mean, right? Or they
But
were
here's the
being
thing.
like,
In
elusive.
today's world, I feel like half the call centers I get connected to are people who are disengaged with the job,
Right.
don't really care. And so that's just a normal customer support experience, especially for like a product that's probably made like chairs are probably made in China or made overseas. And this company, I mean, just normally you deal with a lot of these companies, like it's hard to find a person to talk to. Like I try to call my bank. I can't get on the phone with someone. It's
Okay, but I think I'm going to take the position of Tim in this whole show because
of course
I think I am him. Because you still for one thing, the last person he talked to was like whispering to him, like, "Listen, I'm not supposed to tell you this." Okay, that's pretty suspicious, even for customer support. And then also, they wouldn't even give him like the regular contact information. I don't know. I'm on his side. I think it was sus
And
the
for
whole
this,
time.
yeah, okay. I think it could go either way.
Okay,
I think living in the world of Ron Trosper, I think, yeah, there's something there. And
there's something there.
and we know that as the episode goes on and towards especially the last scene, there's definitely something there.
There's definitely something there. So let's go into that. What happens next?
So he starts doing some internet research, and then eventually he finds an address of the company, and then he decides to go there, which that's when things kind of go crazy. Things go crazy. But the funny thing is, he's heading out the door. He's like, I'm going to go check this out. I'm going to take action. And he decides to pop the remainder of that little hard-boiled egg into his mouth, which ends up being kind of a pivotal thing. You wouldn't think so?
Yeah.
And
no, I thought so. Yeah.
Oh, you knew.
Yeah. Oh, that was coming back.
And so he heads out to the chair company's address that he finds on the website. And then and of course it's a fenced up dark building.
And by the way, he finds a huge red ball. They never talk about it. What's up with that?
So he goes into the building and he walks in, like you said, there's a big red ball, which doesn't make any sense. I'm sure maybe that's got to come back. Like, I feel like, and that's like where it's like a Severance kind of weirdness to it. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Once he gets into the dark company headquarters of the chair company, like there's some weirdness there.
Oh, we didn't even mention the wheelbarrow guy. I love him. He's one of my favorites. So he showed up earlier in the show, and then he shows up later in the end. But there's a guy who's just like using a wheelbarrow, and he's like a maintenance man in the office. And he originally was looking at the chairs and trying to like take pictures of them. Ron was, and the guy thought he was like upset about his wheelbarrow, but he won't let that wheelbarrow thing go. And I just love him. He shows up after this scene, but yeah, in the building when he's walking around, it's creepy. He gets stuck because, of course, the deviled egg comes back up or out, I should say. Gross. And he has to go use the bathroom. And when he's in there, I don't know if you caught this, of course, but they never explain it. But he's in there and he hears someone come in, but then the person who comes in, who they don't show, screams.
Yeah,
you remember that? Like screams like weirdly loud.
Yeah, it's almost like a horror movie. Like he's
like a horror movie. Yeah,
he's sitting on the toilet having stomach issues because of the egg, and then he's hiding.
He's hiding, and he hears a crazy
he hears
scream.
someone walking in. Like it sounded like someone was actually in the bathroom, and then there's a scream.
Yeah, but the scream was weird as hell. Like it was very odd. And then he runs away, and he gets out of there. But yeah, that was a weird scene. And so nothing really happened conspiracy-wise, but it just was weird.
So he walks, when he finally leaves, he's leaving, and is it then he goes back into the office and the lady says, Brendan wants to see you?
I think so. Then he's like in trouble then, right? Because he thinks he's in trouble for his little research thing he's been doing, but he's not. He's in trouble because he didn't hire the security company for the new place, and some kids got in trouble or something.
Yeah. And so like he's somewhat relieved about that. And then he also, like, at some point, one of the lady who basically he looked up the skirt of comes and talks to him about.
She does too. Yeah.
So that becomes, I think that's going to be just kind of the increasing kind of unsettled nature of his kind of role within the company. Like I think he's going to be attacked on a lot of different fronts, which is going to allow him to become more and more agitated and react sooner, kind of out more, and then just kind of dive him deeper, push him deeper into this conspiracy world.
Right. And I think this is a perfect time to explain what I was saying earlier with my conspiracy with the CEO. Like what's her name again? Oh man, I don't know any of the names. So bad. But the woman who like is mad at him and is her boss, his boss.
Brenda.
Yeah, Brenda. So if you looks into that again, she's like, this is like your last time or something. Like this is your warning. But it seems like they got a vibe that they don't trust him. Like they didn't really want him to have this position even, right? And that's what I'm getting I'm getting this feel of like, can you really do this job? She even says that. Can you do this? Like they don't really have confidence in him. That success thing with the drink, I think was just like for show.
I felt like things were kind of going well. I felt like at the time when Brenda invites him in and they take a shot, there's confidence in Ron Trosper, a Senate middle manager. We're going to hand him this project. But I think just like the way he starts reacting afterwards show he kind of, for all the different reasons, whether or not his anger issues, his weirdness, I think, and then maybe ultimately a couple other things that they're nitpicking on. I think he's starting to be seen by Brenda as like, maybe he isn't the guy.
Yeah, I think they're losing the confidence, but in my opinion, I think they didn't. Maybe an incident happened that they don't talk about yet on the show before this. I mean, think about Ron. Think about this character, Ron, and Tim Robinson. Something weird happened at some point in his life, right? Remember in the very toast? I'm Mr. Conspiracy on this podcast now. Remember in the toast? She goes, it's been a tough couple of years, actually 3-4 years. She says it's been a tough.
I feel like you're reading too much. I feel like he's just, hey, he's middle manager guy. He had competition like Douglas, Jim Downey characters, older, more kind of experience, and that yet Ron overcomes and gets the appointment. And so I don't know. Maybe you're reading too much into it.
Well, this is why we do the show, and I'm going to be the person who takes that avenue, and we'll see who's right. Because I don't know. We haven't seen the show. Anyways, moving on. What happens after that? There's an HR issue. He's unraveling. I forget what happens next.
And then he ultimately, I think what makes it really kind of seem like, oh, there is something going on here is the final scene, right? So he's kind of leaving.
Oh, right. He's leaving the office. And
then he just hears some footsteps behind him, and a guy is just rapidly approaching him. And so he starts freaking out, running towards the car. It's like it's kind of like the get in the car scene we've seen in a million movies. And the guy catches up to him, and he's got I think a lead pipe.
A lead pipe. It's crazy.
And he says, what does he say? Forget about the chair company. Forget about the chair company.
Yeah, it's like straight up like, this is real. Something's happening. And then he hits him twice, which I think he'd be a lot more hurt than that. But and then he gets up from being hit and chases him. And a very odd scene happens where the guy starts taking off his shirt. It doesn't make any sense. And then Tim just grabs the shirt, and then he's left with the shirt.
Well, he starts taking off his shirt as this kind of fat guy waddles away. And it becomes clear that he thought like when Tim grabs the shirt, he could just like get out of it weirdly. And yet Tim stops his pursuit, which obviously the shirt is going to become a plot point and like a thing. But yeah, that was like when you go, okay, there's something real here. This is not just in Tim's head. There's like a real cover up. There's a real darkness to the chair company. And so there's some sort of like, I wanted to say he's like a kind of a muscle, kind of like a thug, but like the way he waddled away scared, like he wasn't quite the thug we thought he was.
Yeah. It's like, you paid very little for somebody to go rough somebody up, which again makes you wonder, what is this tech a company? And, what are they investing in? Like their security. Funny because Tim didn't get any security for his building. Yeah, I think that, we alluded to it earlier, but the Jim Downey scene is the part that worries me slightly. But because, again, as he unravels, he's going to get angrier. And what he does with that anger, if it can be funny, which it has been in this pilot, that's cool. I just wanted to stay like, have fun with the funniness. But he literally rips the bubbles off of Jim Downey. And I felt like it gets really sad after that because it involves the old lady too. And I just felt like, oh, I don't like how I feel sad about this scene. And then, of course, Jim Downey tells on him, at the same time. So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
how else would we expect Tim Robinson in a work environment to act? Like he's always combustible. Like what is the one where he's talking about the shirts?
I love
Like
those shirts.
with the fancy shirts, like in
Yeah.
that scale, like he's just super combustible in almost every corporate work environment. And so the fact that he's acting like that is not surprising to me. And I'm
Yeah.
not too worried about it getting overly dark. I think it's, or like him being too mean because I feel like that's just going to be part of his character. I don't think it's going to turn people off from watching, which I think brings up another thing I think we should talk about, or at least, this show to me is going to just be like something that everyone who loves I Think You Should Leave is going to watch. Like the fans who are already in the Tim Robinson camp are going to love.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was watching, I'm thinking, kind of like Friendship, will anyone besides Tim Robinson fans, people who are already on board with I Think You Should Leave, is this show going to be too weird for them?
I
Is
don't
it going
think
to be
so.
too off?
No, if anything, I thought you were making the point that, and like I said earlier, it does feel like Severance to me. It really does. It's like, because the music kind of plays a huge part of it, right? The music's pushing it along. Like sometimes it's happy music too. Jim Croce, or was that one of the songs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Which
like,
is a funny scene, by the way. He's coming up with
I love
a
that
wedding
scene.
a wedding reel for his daughter's like rehearsal dinner, and he Googles happy music or whatever, wedding music, and yeah, it's a great song. The Jim Croce
Let
song.
me tell you two things. I'll finish my thought, which was, I think this is for a lot of people because of that. I think it's going to be like, have you seen that weird dark series? And they don't even know Tim Robinson, right? They're just like, oh, it's like a weird Severance, but funnier, right? Because it's not as intense as Severance. And there's some really funny parts. So I think the answer is yes. It's going to be for more people than Tim Robinson's fans. To that point, though, of the slideshow, which we didn't talk about, I have 1000% done that. And what I know why I did it and why I think his character did it is sometimes life is tough and you just need to cry. Like you just need to get it all out. And he was doing that. I've done what he did. He was looking for the most emotional things and his song. I don't know if that's the most emotional song for me. It wouldn't be, but like he was pushing himself there to get that out, to get that release. And I've 100% done that.
Yeah. I'm totally on board on a yacht rock theme song for like a wedding rehearsal. Like it, I love that genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I totally agree. So if we think about, and this doesn't, I don't care because I love this show and people are going to listen or watch this show or listen to this podcast and love Tim Robinson most likely, but I don't know if this expands his universe. I don't know if he's just too much of an acquired taste. And again, this is not me criticizing Tim because I love him. He's right up my alley. And I think people that watch the show are going to, but I think it's still, I'm not convinced yet this is going to be, oh, wow, get like a much bigger audience for him than he had with I Think You Should Leave. I could be wrong.
Well, and my only caveat, which I've kind of just alluded to with the whole show, is that my favorite Tim Robinson is I Think You Should Leave Tim Robinson. I think that's it, like full stop. Now that Friendship doesn't really count because it's another director, another writer. But this is his writing team, and this is good, and I'm so excited, and I'm going to watch every single episode as soon as it comes out, more than once. But it does have that dark feel to it that I was a little concerned with. And the comedy isn't as much throughout the whole thing because it's more of a vibe. It feels like it's a vibe. But yeah, I think that you have another I Think You Should Leave type show that's like just bam, bam, craziness. That I think brings in a new audience. But I don't think, maybe you're right. Maybe this doesn't. I don't know.
I think so. Turning to the comedy part, I mean, you've seen with other SNL alumni, and he is an SNL alumni, as is Jim Downey. There's oftentimes when they go to movies or longer series, there's going to be lots of kind of almost like set piece scenes where they're almost like skits, and there's like a setup and lots of laughs. I think you're going to get enough of those where there's going to be little funny set piece scenes that have lots of jokes in them, where you let Tim be ridiculous. The challenge for them is stitching it all together with a theme and making it like a plot progression that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because think about how expertly crafted Ben Stiller was with putting together the overall Severance arc. Ben Stiller and company. I think obviously we talked a little bit about Adam McKay being part of the producer team. I think he's done that. He's also obviously Adam McKay's been a part of like all the Will Ferrell movies where there was a lot of set piece scenes that allowed Will Ferrell to be Will Ferrell and like Anchorman. But I think we'll get a nice balance of great funny scenes that are almost like mini skits, but also hopefully they can stitch it all together with a narrative arc that makes sense.
I want episode 2 to have more of those, though. That's what I'm hoping. Because we did get one, by the way. We've got a bunch, but like the one where he's trying to see if the old lady, Gladys, I believe, will like walk funny just so that he can prove to the chair company that someone could get hurt. Remember?
Doris.
Yeah,
by the way, we're
Doris.
gonna have to by the next episode, guys. We'll have all the names. Hopefully,
Will we? I don't know. I'm not going to.
we're recording this like the morning after the episode premiere, first episode.
But
so
you know that
we're still
scene is
kind of,
pretty. Yeah, that scene's pretty funny. You know, so
yeah. When he's like peeking out his office after I think hiding under the desk, right after before hiding under the desk, which is funny. And then Brenda, I think the boss sees him through the desk, like they catch each other's eye.
Yeah.
No, I think she sees something and he sees her. But anyway, so I don't know if it's before or after that Ron is spying on Doris and the Jim Downey character as he's showing off his bubble necklace.
He like makes him go get snacks too. That's such a weird, convoluted way to do it. He's like, go get snacks. And then she gets granola and he goes, granola? He's like, go get cookies or something. And then she does, by the way. Nice lady to go do that. And then they bring her the cookie. All that felt really good to me. Like, I think that was really fun and funny. But then it turns super dark right after that.
What I'm excited about is, so we haven't had, I feel like, a great follow-up in terms of office comedy since Office Space. I feel like Office Space was the definitive Office Place awkwardness comedy movie. I feel like this show might have an opportunity to kind of be like a follow-up in that, kind of make itself into that canon of like a really great Office Place awkwardness comedy, but obviously in a serialized season form, because we're living in the era of streaming, and what would be a movie like 15 years ago is now like a series. But don't you think, I mean, obviously Silicon Valley was great. It's another Mike Judge vehicle. And that was great, but it really was about startups. I feel like this is just about middle management, middle of the country, corporate offices, and it could be really great in that regard.
Yeah, you know, I didn't even think about that. Like, we have kind of danced around the subject matter of it, you know, and it is the kind of like, which he's a big fan of, where he came from, like, you know, a working class environment, like, you know, just making it work, local, you know, community, that kind of stuff. And he's always been about that. Detroiters, which I wouldn't mention on the show, one of my favorite shows of all time, you know, is about that same thing, like a marketing team making it work. So he loves that kind of like, you know, middle-sized company and, you know, success with it. So I think that's what that is. It's kind of like shining a light on that, like, life as well.
Yeah. I mean, some would argue The Office was a good follow-up to Office Space. I feel like just on the kind of the black comedy side, though, I don't really feel like there's been a really good follow-up. The Office was like kind of lightweight sitcom.
Yeah. And can I just, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, can I just talk real quick to The Office and Office Space are not related. Okay. Just I'm going to put a quick thing over, because The Office is a comedy and it's like, you know, interesting and character based. The Office Space is one of the greatest films of all time, is how the corporate America is terrible and it should not be done. And people are dying like mentally by doing that type of job. So I feel like Mike was putting a flag in the ground going like, we have to change this. It was like revolution, that like beating up the copier machine is so cathartic. And the very ending of that movie, he's a construction worker, you know, it's like, yeah, it's the opposite. And we have to put
in everything that's mockumentary style, which The Office is, you kind of have to put in another camp. Cause I do like mockumentary that it's getting a little bit tired, but like Office Space was more traditional script, more of a traditional comedy, but I think it was the defining Office comedy.
Yeah. But I think this, in closing, you know, I don't think we're going to give it ratings, right, on each episode or something.
No. This podcast is really about discussing each episode. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yes.
If you have thoughts, drop us a message on social. We'll figure out a way for you guys to get a hold of us. This is all moving pretty quickly in terms of this podcast, but we'd love to hear from everyone. But I think this is like what we're going to do. We're just kind of going to go over every episode. We'll get to know the characters a little bit better and just discuss how this season's shaping out.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know I have some trepidation, but at the same time, all the humor and all the jokes, I was like glued to the screen for, like, especially like I said, that beginning felt like the whole microcosm of the show. And the ending felt like the opposite of that. The ending felt like, what is this? And it was just, he was bleeding. And I was like, so I'm kind of torn on like the pilot, again, not giving it a score, but going like totally interested, wildly need the next episode immediately. But yeah.
I can't wait for episode 2 and where that goes. I'm interested. I mean, I think he's obviously going to start kind of getting more and more entrenched and deeper into the conspiracy and digging into it. I think the shirt's going to become a plot point, and then I think his work life is just going to continue to go downhill because of all the different things he's done this episode.
Foreshadowing plus 2. Here's my foreshadowing. It's only going to get really, really awkward. That's again, I love this character. I love Tim, but I feel like episode 2 is not even going to have any resemblance to like normal life. I feel like they're going to go right off the deep end. Don't you? Like after this?
Yeah. And here's the thing we haven't talked about at all, the family. So I think in the trailer, his wife says, Ron, you've been so distant lately. So I think another thread of this whole plot is like his going down the rabbit hole, whatever this conspiracy is going to like put stress on his relationship with his wife and his family. And I think at a time when his daughter's getting married. So like they talked about her rehearsal dinner. So I think this is going to put a stress on his family life, which is another vehicle for some comedy and some real awkwardness.
Prediction. The wedding's going to go horrible. The wedding's going to be a mess. Okay. I'm sorry. Here's prediction number 2. His wife is definitely going to be flirty with another guy. 100%. I mean, if you want to make a money bet, I would like to do a money bet on that.
She's just going to be acting normally, and she seems supportive of him. Like feel like she's
super supportive, but she's going to get tired of it.
Or she's just acting normally with someone, and he's going to misinterpret it as like flirtiness.
That's that too, right? Like that'll be the version of it. But then maybe like the more that he acts upset about it, then she'll be like, well, maybe I do want to be with another person. Something like that's going to happen. Yeah. And that might even be like episode 3. I feel like it's happening soon. So anyways,
whatever way it goes, folks,
we'll be here
for the ride. Keep listening, subscribe, review. We'll be talking about this after every episode, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.